So, on to the next session, which is the best practices for startups navigating and thriving in a frontier technology-driven world. Nobody better to lead this session than our very own Managing Director of the Eden Base Fund, Chris Hill. So, what can I tell you about Chris? Well, I can tell you that some of our startups have named him Coach because he really does push for excellence in everything, even in us, in the partners. But a little-known fact about him, he once climbed Everest. Here to scale new heights with startups, please welcome Chris Hill and his panel to the stage.
Great. So excited to take sort of the conversations that we've started this morning, that sort of the 30,000-foot view with Alex sharing everything that the larger companies are doing, the themes that were just discussed in the last panel, and take it a little bit down to a tactical level with three founders who are dealing with all of those questions on a day-to-day basis. So real quickly, just to have each of you introduce yourselves, and since we are try to keep on time, to get straight into it. So, Ricard.
Hi there, I'm Ricard Hansen. I'm the founder of Weavy. You can meet me downstairs if you get intrigued what we're talking about.
And hi guys, I'm one of the co-founders and the CEO of 3Dium. No AI in our name, but we have good insights to share.
Hi, good morning. My name is Yankee. I'm the founder of Vamo. We are a fintech company serving SMEs with financial services. Pleasure to be here.
All right. Awesome. So to dive straight into it, would love to start with a question real quickly, which is, you've all been raising and operating companies now for about the last, over 3 years. But how have things changed as a founder and CEO in terms of when you're either talking to investors or talking to employees or just customers, sort of pre and post the integration of AI? Was this something that you thought about at all 3 years ago, and how are you having to deal with that right now?
I'll go first?
Yep.
Okay. Zero thought about it before, obviously, so it wasn't on my radar at all. And then obviously it was a big shift, and myself was like blown away by the capacity. And obviously from a pure fundraising perspective, like went crazy. Everyone should be AI, 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 but no one really knew what it meant, you know what I mean? And then obviously you had to start to plot a plan in roadmap in terms of, okay, how are we going to implement AI to both empower ourselves and our potential customers? So it was a big shift in a good way, I will say. But also I think it's going to be the fastest shift we've ever seen in the technology landscape, right? Because of obviously you can't really compare it with the entrance of the internet or whatever, because the surrounding world was immature, right? But everyone right now is teed to just execute very fast and adopt. So I think we're going to see definitely the fastest change.
Mike?
Well, from our side, we managed to do the impossible, and we raised 11 million in 2023. And we didn't use the word AI in our pitch at all, which is also an impossible task to raise money these days without doing so. But when we started strategizing and when we started seeing the trend evolving, we did like a SWOT analysis, and we positioned AI across. We tried to see whether that can threaten our existence. So is our company going to go obsolete with the use of AI, and it wouldn't impact us in any way? We then tried to see, can we make money fast using AI? That was not the case either. So the only kind of thing that we can genuinely and practically do using AI was cost efficiencies, basically. So we tried to see how we can optimize our workflows, our processes, and start getting our hands dirty with AI to just understand what the bigger promise could potentially be.
Yankee?
I agree with Mike in terms of the perception of AI. I mean, we just closed the round. We are about to close the round. Eden Base also part of this round as well. We haven't used the word AI, but the fact is when you hear AI, you also want to experience, you're curious about all perception of it. When it comes to financial services, the implications are still a question mark in terms of how people will perceive the technology. Would they see it safe? Would they be threatened by it? Or would they even trust it? So we are observing and we are looking at the ways to put it into our processes. I'll give you a bit of a background in terms of how this whole the fintech experience started for us. We were born in the time of blockchain when it was actually going into the ways of how fintech will evolve. And we still haven't seen that come to fruition. I think that with one of the key things that Daniel mentioned is the perfect storm of these technologies merging together.
Yep.
I think the next generation is going to be much different, and that's what we're looking at the moment as well.
Actually, sort of building on that comment, Mike, one of the things when we've worked with you over the years is you spend a lot of time looking at the future of the metaverse and what that means given your background with 3D rendering, the unique opportunity there. Where the metaverse is as part of the conversation now has dramatically changed over the last couple of years. What are some of the lessons that you think from a practical perspective, and this goes back to a little bit, is AI overhyped, yes or no, and the timing, how do you think about the applications of AI, knowing that there is probably going to be that sort of quintessential trough of disillusionment if we were to talk through?
Disclaimer, my marketing team does not allow me anymore to use the word metaverse, so we'll have to replace it with the word spatial. Okay. Spatial web, right? So basically what is happening is that to form spatial web, and basically, for people to understand why I'm going to say what I'm going to say, our company focuses on taking 3D files and helping brands make money and save money using those files. So our thesis in the world is that we live in a 3D world, and the internet is becoming more 3D. So we're going to be replacing the use of PDF and PNG files to create content with 3D files, which then can give more autonomy, more flexibility to brands to create more immersive product displays, create faster access points into games to sell their products, everything driven by 3D files, basically. So we've built this infrastructure that allows brands to take these 3D files and create all this kind of powerful content and push it everywhere, from industrialization aspects to customer-facing channels or to gaming, and then connect everything with data. Now, to create this kind of infrastructure, there's all sorts of different cutting-edge technologies that need to go into it. It's algorithms and optimization of 3D files, so you need to do a lot of mathematical equations fast to be able to decimate 3D files because they're very complex real-time files. You need big data because 3D is actually a real-time organism, and as you go into a website, that 3D file can actually connect with customer segmentation and in real time change the color of that 3D object or the size or things that can enhance the personalized aspect and experience when a user goes in and interacts with these 3D files. Therefore, you need quite a hefty LLM and data library to be able to feed the 3D and make the whole experience more redefined, more personalized, and give a different kind of experience to the users. So with that in mind, we heard the word frontier technologies the first time after Edenbase invested in us. And we started thinking, oh, great. So we don't just need to be mathematicians and being able to decimate and optimize 3D files. We can now start leveraging big data, LLMs, which they lead to AI, basically. And we can also introduce AR and gaming into processes so that we can expand new services, new revenue channels, and new capabilities for our clients. And slowly but steadily, we ended up having a very robust offering to our clients, to the point that now we went from a nice-to-have kind of product to sitting in the epicenter of digital transformation for all major brands using our platform, because we are sitting into basically as part of their tech stack as they looked to involve their content creation, to evolve their customer-facing touch points, and to be able to extract more precise user behavior data.
Yep. Okay, great. So thinking again about the size of the challenges, how many employees do you have, Yankee?
About 50 at the moment.
And Mike?
63.
11.
Okay, so no one here has more than 100, and we heard about companies that have thousands where their DevOps team may be in the hundreds in of itself, and thinking about applying these technologies. You also are founders who are balancing cash flow, paying people, earning customers. But people say, as I said, what are you doing with AI? How do you balance the near term and the short term requirements or expectations, and how do you align those two?
For us, like we're in the dev tool space, like Alex was talking about it in the previous presentation, right? The no-code, low-code space. And the no-code, low-code space has been around for quite a while, so there's a lot of applications out there built by on that technology. So for us, it's like AI is pretty applicable, and it's like very accessible in that sense. It's not regulated like you guys in the fintech industry. It's like that's going to be a nightmare. But for us, it's like really fast. So what we're focusing on in the AI side for things like we're creating co-pilots. We're helping like common people to build very robust, powerful, collaborative applications with 0 to no skills in development. And that accelerated our development, right, with AI. And we created LLMs around a specific platform they're using in our technology. So when you talk to the AI in that sense, it actually responds properly in terms of, okay, this is my setting. Instead of asking ChatGPT, for example, or Copilot in Visual Studio Code, you would get a very generic answer, for example. So for us, it's been like, good, because it's accelerating the no-code, low-code space, like he's talking about, but it's also accelerating us. Yep. And also to be clear, I didn't use AI in my pitch either. I still raise money. So.
Yankee, to your point, because of the regulatory and restrictions that you have and the challenges that adds, where do you think you can add the sort of emerging technologies or frontier technologies, both in the short term to make the company more successful and accelerate your growth, but then how do you think about that from a longer term perspective as well?
What we have seen, the best use case for us at the moment is the compliance and the fraud element. There's so much use case we could actually use AI to be able to improve the processes when it comes to compliance. The fraud side of things is getting more and more complicated with AI even involved in terms of who the fraudster is. But even that, when we take that implication, we still don't know how that's going to play out. There's so much data that's still on our platform, but to train the model to be able to come up with a proper decision making, it's a huge investment and effort, which might even shift our focus a bit. So at the moment, we are observing, we're testing with a little bit of data sets to be able to see what we can come out of it. But in the next couple of years, we will definitely see a way of that getting into our lives. But I would also like to quote Daniel. He said something really important. When the technology is disruptive, the polarization is even more and more split, and it gets bigger and bigger. And here, AI is one of those possible technologies. If we take it, make it more transformative, I think the benefits to the society and culture and also to your investments will be much be visible. And hopefully, we could actually be the contributor to that transformation then instead of a disruption.
For the three of you, how do you, when you work with your employees, do you encourage them to work with AI independently, to take the initiative? Do you have you have someone who's saying like, look, that we'll try to roll this entire platform again, like. AI is a buzzword, or can be a buzzword. It can be overpromised. But from a practical perspective, like how are you telling your employees to adopt and leverage the technology?
There was really no need to tell. We are really curious individuals that was basically goes in a whole culture of the company. They all find a use case for their own line of business. Let's say engineers start using it in their coding to come up with the quick error fixing. Support start using it to be able to respond to customers even better. Operations start doing it for better way to handle requests and also optimize how the support can actually be improved. So there's a lot of use cases, and at the moment we are the guinea pigs that's training the AI models at the moment with how we are using it, and I think it's just going to be part of our life as we go.
Mike?
We split it into two parts. One is, as I mentioned in the beginning, the cost efficiencies and how we can improve our workflows, and I'll go on that in a bit. And then the second thing is on the R&D side. So we split our teams into people that they want to push the boundaries a bit with LLM and big data and build libraries and see how we can use that R&D to enhance our product offering. And then we have the people that they're so immersed into their day-to-day that they don't want anyone to come in and fiddle with how they're operating, but we're just giving them some tools powered by AI that we try to see whether this accelerates their productivity. So personally, for me, I replaced any kind of personal assistant or what have you with AI. So I'm using Perplexity and ChatGPT, and I'm writing emails, and I'm drafting Q2 reports and what have you to our investors, and that's great.
So I'm really not when you're really responsive to me, I shouldn't be appreciative of that fact. Like, it's not about my importance at all.
If I'm too kind, then you know it's ChatGPT.
Oh, okay, all right, okay.
But yeah, basically, we're using a lot of copywriting through AI, and we're also we kind of tested it now with things that they're not gonna, excuse my French, fuck up our quality and level of service for our clients. For instance, we've used this AI tool that we embedded it into our HubSpot, and it's able to start understanding revenue trends. Now, how much we trust it? Not that much, because it could be garbage in, garbage out in terms of the data that our salespeople put in. But at least it gives us things that we're not able or didn't have time to see before, such as we saw this amazing statistic that if we don't have more than 4 or 5 people from a prospect involved in a deal, there is more likely to lose it instead of winning it. And these were things that we're not able to see otherwise if we didn't have an AI to read through this data, basically. So, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we're all geeks, so like we've been through so many hype cycles. So like in the beginning, we didn't really do anything, to be honest. But then later on, like trying to learn like from a development point of view. So internally, we play it more like on the back end, so to speak, and do hackathons internally to understand a little bit more. Throw things at it and see if it works, because more than often than not, it actually works, and you're like kind of blown by the fact that they're doing it. On the customer side, we're implementing it as well. But again, our customer is like a developer specifically. So we have that model, as I said, like AI around that. But then we're creating a chat experience, like a chat GPT experience for our customers, but it's not chat GPT. So you're prompting it, you're asking it and talking to it. But then we also have to make sure it gives accurate answers, if you know what I mean. But internally, it's a lot of experimentation and R&D in terms of just understanding what it can do.
Yep.
But bottom line is that we don't leave it to impact our critical aspects of our everyday.
No.
We don't trust it.
Do you think there will come a point where you will trust it more, or will be willing to hand over the reins on certain pieces? Like, what is the element for each one of you that says we are never going to try? There always has to be a human in the loop, so to speak. Like, what is that piece for you now, and both for you personally, and then fundamentally when you think about how people talk about AI for startups? Is there something you disagree with, like, nope, that's never going to be part of the AI, it's too important to us?
It's going to work at some point, but it's interesting. Like you can feed an LLM like specifics, and it's still making shit up in the end. So you need to like babysit it in a sense. Like I'm talking about code. Like we feed it specific code snippet, and something else comes out, and it's like then you're like literally asking. It's like, why did you say that? Oh, you're right. The specification says something else. So it's going to take a while. Like you can truly trust it. And the customer service point of view, I think you can already trust it because it's already good enough, and it's going to give you a good answer enough and an accurate answer enough to speed up customer services. Financial, or medical, science, that's a different game, right?
Mike?
Well, I think from our side, we as entrepreneurs, I think one of the key successes in any company is talent, right? You cannot replace that with any kind of AI. You need to have ambitious people. You need to have, you need to be able to think outside the box. And no AI can predict human behavior, right? Or be creative enough, because they're just fitting from the past. So we will never stop surrounding ourselves with talented people in that sense. We're only going to be using AI to just accelerate our processes, being able to understand trends better, predict some future patterns. But I'm not going to be absolutely saying we're never going to trust it, because it's going to grow. But in the next 2-3 years at least, and we always like to be very pragmatic, we're not going to depend our strategy on AI.
Yankee?
I think we are technology founders, so we need to trust the unknown. That's the fact. That's how you experience. That's how you learn. That's how you find what comes out of it. If from our vision of how we could actually see it, it's a great assistant, extremely smart, which you look at your processes, improve your workflows, and eliminate a lot of the burdens that you're facing in running a business. And for us to be able to adapt this and give the data to be able to feed and teach the model, it's already there. But from a customer perception, the use case and how they actually put into their daily life is a bit distance, and that will be the biggest challenge. How do we get that transformation knowledge and trust factor into the models, and also give them an ability to ask questions, get answers, and also trust them with their financial services, which is a really difficult thing to do at the moment.
Right. Well, on that note, we're going to, I think, end right on time, but really appreciate all of your insights and points of view on the day-to-day challenges and realities of sort of incorporating these technologies into the businesses that you're building.
Thank you so much, Chris.
Absolutely.
And thank you very much, Chris Hill.